Hey everybody, Ceci here, and today's topic is strategies. I like to say a little thing called strategies because strategies may seem like a little thing, but boy, can they wreak havoc in our relationships. So the thing about strategies is that we all have them. They tend to be unconscious. We don't realize we have them, but we do have them. And by strategy, I mean a default mode of behavior that you fall into when something inside of you feels threatened or unsafe. And I'm not talking about flight, fight, or freeze, or join, or whatever all those other pieces to that part of the puzzle are. I'm talking about behavioral strategies. There are four that I have identified that tend to be very common amongst my clients. And they can, once you're aware of them, you can start to choose to do something different. And that's the important piece, is that you figure out what your strategies are and you choose to do something different. Because if you don't know what they are, when you feel threatened, uncomfortable, unsafe, confronted, defensive, you immediately default into that strategy. You don't even know it's happening, but before you know it, there's tension and conflict and all kinds of ugliness in the communication that you're trying to have with whoever you're talking to at that moment. So strategies are an important part of our being, and they're an important thing to sort for ourselves in terms of our relationships with other people. When we're in relationships with other people, what we want to do is be present. We want to be actively listening to them, and we want to stay present with what's happening in the moment now. What a strategy does when we fall into a strategy is it takes us back to something old that's not really related to today and to what's happening right in that moment before us, but our mind thinks that it is. And so our mind feels this connection to that past feeling of unsafety or discomfort, and it immediately throws us into a strategy to protect and defend ourselves. And once you're in that strategy, everything kind of goes a little sour. So the key is to figure out what those strategies are and start to work with what your main strategies are. We all tend to have a little bit of all of them. But if you can identify what yours is, then you can start to pay attention to when it comes up, and you can start to actively try to change it. So there are four main ones that I have identified. And those are when you try to control things, when you try to avoid things, when you try to please other people, or when you blame other people. So just consider those four. There may be more. They're all interrelated. But I challenge you to consider those four in your own relationships and see what happens when things start to get tense in your relationships. Take a look at them and see if there's maybe a strategy at play, something that you're doing that you weren't aware you were doing, that is just a default for you when you start to get uncomfortable or feel unsafe. Because shifting out of that strategy and into something more present for yourself, that's more aligned with who you really are today and what you want for your life today, can make all the difference in your world. All right, that's a little tip for today. Thanks and have a great day.